Hello, in this video lecture, I will cover cloud platforms for IoT. Cloud for IoT, then cloud services, APIs related to interlink for the various services, the survey of the platform, costing, and the performance matrix in IoT. There are, if you divide functionally, four layers of IoT, including IoT cloud. Now, at the lower level, there is sensor layer, we can say actuator layer, a hardware layer. So basically, there is a sensor layer at the bottom, and the cloud layer is going to interact with the sensor layer via the network layer. We have wired connection in between the sensor layer and the cloud layer. We can have wireless method, especially the open source, that is licensed, unlicensed open source, the long range, short range methods. Basically, these are utilized for the communication between the cloud services and the hardware. And the various services can be taken from the cloud. There is application layer, and it contains the huge resources for the IoT. And via the cloud, we can access application layer. For example, in this lecture, that is, I'm going to discuss here, I'm shown here only few parts of the application layer. E-governance, the emergency helpline, public safety, environment, smart building, smart transport, the communication, education, healthcare, the big data, and IoT platform. So application layer is having the bunch of interface, and using that interface we can handle the number of devices through the network layers and through these cloud services. Now we'll see, basically the clouds are a large data centers, and it provides the services depending on the customer request, and the services are on the basis of pay for use. It is called as the services to the customer on a pay for use model. The services on the cloud, these are very different as we compare with the traditional methods. The traditional softwares that we have deployed and the softwares that we are using for the cloud, they are totally different. Mainly the cloud-based applications are developed and deployed faster than any environment ever today. Clouds are very clouds are rapidly emerging as the one of the replacement for the traditional software. Basically, the traditional softwares are replaced by the newer, fast versions and very rapid moving cloud deployment services. Mainly, it is the part of the softwares of the cloud deployment, what we call as the deployment of softwares. The clouds provide the range of services, especially very important is the everything as a service. Everything as a service is also known as XaaS, and X stand for the everything. Basically, we can divide the cloud services into the four different categories. The networking as a service, where we have the cloud providing the networking like SDP, SDN as the services, or the networking or virtual networking as a services. The software as a service, here it provides the services of some softwares and the related infrastructure and the maintenance of that particular software. Then the cloud also provides the platform as a service. In this case, it manages the operating system and some runtime resources, and the cloud provide the runtime resources that is needed whenever we are calling these platform as a services through proper API connection. The infrastructure as a service. So basically, the hardware related and the storage related to the cloud, the services are called. So there are four different services. Those can be called through the API to the cloud platform. The networking as a service, that is called as the NAS. The services related with the software defined networking and software defined parameters are typically included in the service of networking as a service. These products are cloud managed and it is organized for networks and enterprises. Mainly, the securities are provided by the cloud. The cloud approach is as like the virtual network, and it allows the optimality, the scalings up and down of the resources as per the demand, and the new network features that can be deployed very rapidly whenever the resources are purchased. The software as a service, that is known as SaaS. Software is actually the foundation of cloud computing. The software is the foundation of cloud computing. Basically, software as a service, that is SaaS, is the key feature of foundation of cloud computing. Mainly, the applications or services that offer exposed to the end user through the clients such as the mobile device, thin clients, frameworks, and other clouds. The user point of view, the SaaS layer is virtually running on the client. This software abstraction has enabled the industry to achieve the growth in the cloud. So basically, the software services include some brand names are there that providing the software services, that is Google Apps, Salesforce, and Microsoft Office 365. Platform as a service, that is PaaS. PaaS refers and underlying the hardware and low layer software facilities provided by the cloud. Here, the end user simply uses the data center, hardware, operating system related middlewares, and it is also assisted the frameworks to the host and their private applications or the services. Mainly clients are calling those services through the APIs. Especially the middleware may be composed of the database system, and mainly industry are built the cloud services and which will provide the hardware, and there are some examples like the Toshiba that can provides. The examples of the providers are IBM Bluemix, Google App Engine, and Microsoft Azure, that is a purely platform as a service based cloud. If we see the applications and the constraint over the vendors that provided the infrastructure and that achieve a very faster time to make and to deploy, and it is having very low time to the market, and so that it supports the today's competition and most of the operating system middlewares are guaranteed to be available on these platforms through the cloud. The infrastructure as service, IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Basically, the original concept of the cloud is nothing but infrastructure as a service. The concept behind the cloud is providing the infrastructure such as the scalable hardware and some softwares, and that to be built on the cloud on the client virtual machines. Because of that, it is a flexible, and it could develop the various counterparts of the customer, and it can easily deploy on the cloud platforms. Basically, the original concept is infrastructure as a service. We can divide the cloud into broad category like public, private, and hybrid. So within the cloud environment, it stands like generally the topologies can divide here, that is private, public, and hybrid. The models what we have used here, that is the skill development, deployment, and other which has bring in the proximity of the cloud. The modern enterprise uses some structures here that may be public, private, and hybrid. But out of that, the modern enterprise rely on the hybrid architecture. The hybrid architecture, when we implement, it is a critical applications that the data is available on the demand, and the public clouds are available for the connectivity. The deployment is very easy in case of the hybrid architecture, and the rapid development is provided. So basically the enterprise uses the hybrid structure, but the low end applications, and for the low part here we require the private, or if we provide a public related database, then we can use the public. So again, it depends on the application we are using, and depending on our application we can select the cloud method. So in case of the private cloud, you can observe here the infrastructure is basically a single organized. So organization is a single here, and whatever the cooperation here provided is a single one, and for that cooperation only a private cloud is provided. So within these premises, the sharing and pooling can be done. But outside of these premises, the sharing and pooling is not possible, because the cloud is defined as a private cloud, and it exists for the number of the users, and mainly the concern is the security and assurance of the data. So it is guarantee of the information is confirmed that managed by the customer. So basically it is the private cloud, and the resources sharing among the corporation only. Outside of the corporation, the information could not be shared or could not be pulled up. In case of the public cloud, if you observe here the public cloud, there are different resources. One is corporation, then house, and a particular mobile user, and the infrastructures are provided depending on the demand here, depending on the request here by the customer, and the cloud here is basically a public cloud, because this corporation develops the applications that is utilized by the house and also by the mobile user, and it is a sheer scale of the cloud data centers which is shared by these resources. Mainly these are the users, and the users can share the resources here, and mainly the scalability is the important factor in the public cloud. And the customers that mainly joined with this public cloud, and they can pay for the services and they can purchase the services according to their wish, according to their requirement. Mainly the hybrid cloud, which is a more popular model, because if you see here, this is a very much flexible here. So if the corporation want some data to be private, then it is possible, and the other end users can be connected through the public cloud. So within the cloud, we can define a private cloud for the premises, especially these are for these premises, and the public cloud for the end users that connected to this public cloud. And there is some sort of the communication in between public and private cloud. The communications and the request of the services again, it depend on the privileged data and the level that to be granted by the uh, private cloud APIs. Basically, data needs the unique management, and here it will make the reach and scale of the cloud services. The maintaining or the maintenance of this public cloud, basically the scalability depending on the end users, and the infrastructure is automatically handled by this cloud, and the data as such is calculated here, and there are some constraint on this private cloud, and here the constraint plays very important role here, and the resources mainly what we are sharing to the end users have some limitations, but using a standard APIs calling, we can minimize those constraints with greater extent. OpenStack cloud architecture, it is basically Apache 2.0 licensed framework, and it will going to build the cloud platforms. But we remember that basically cloud is based on infrastructure as a services. So here the OpenStack cloud architecture what we have discussing, that is again primarily based on the infrastructure as a services, and initially in 2010 when it developed, it is again based on the IaaS, and it manages the softwares and more than 500 companies including Intel, IBM, Red Hat and Ericsson. Because we see here the OpenStack is a reference architecture for the cloud service providers, and here the components and terminology are again reused in commercial clouds. Basically, if you observe here, the project are nothing but the joint venture by the NASA and Rackspace around 2010. The basic components here, though included in the OpenStack cloud, are compute and load balancing, storage components including backup and recovery, networking components, dashboards, security and identity, data analytics packages. Now data analytics are emerging trend, emerging method in today's era. What we say the developments are based on, and the data what we have, it can be analyzed, and the packages are provided, very flexible packages are provided to analyze the data. So mainly the data analytics may be future job profile, deployment tools, monitors and meters, application services. So these are some components of OpenStack cloud. We'll see the architecture of the OpenStack cloud. Basically, the architecture consists of the 9 various services. These services can be called through the APIs. Here, we can use the WAN networks, the services like Keystone, that is mainly related with the identity and service management. Glance, that is image related services. Nova Compute, Swift, then Neutron, that is related with the networking. Cinder, that is for the storage. Horizon, it is mainly a dashboard. Then the heat orchestration, again it is optional, and Celometer is also optional. We will see one by one the architectures and mainly the services provided by the cloud. The OpenStack, what we say, a cloud architecture, and it is particularly when it is developed, the major components are including here the load balancing, the storage components, backup and recovery. We'll see that in the last slide. And main is the it going to identify the services, and particularly when the devices are requesting for the services, and it will going to note down the particular function and the unique name. Here the whole, as the system is a scalable and the enterprise has a class and that having some cloud functionality. So mainly cloud functions are developed to manage the scalability depending on the request. The communication that we have within the OpenStack components, it is done through the method called as the Advanced Message Queuing Protocol, AMQP. And the message queues specifically uses the RabbitMQ or Qpid. The messages can either be non-blocking or blocking depending on how the message was sent. Basically, the communication between these services is done through the messaging called as AMQP, and some messages can be blocked depending on how it going to send. All messages can have the JSON object format whenever the RabbitMQ we have used, and whenever it receives, it's going to fetch the message from the same service, and it is mainly loosely coupled, that is called as the remote procedure call, RPC, for the communication between the major subsystems. The benefit for the cloud environment is that the client and server and the completely decoupled, and the servers is a very much dynamically scale up or scale down. Again, it is depend on the number of users. The messages are not broadcast but directed with some specific traffic to to minimize the overall traffic and to avoid the collision of the message. AMQP is common messaging protocol used in the IoT space. The OpenStack cloud architecture, the first services what we discuss here out of 9 is the Keystone, identify and service management. Keystone is known as the identity manager service of the OpenStack cloud. The identity manager going to establish the credentials and logging authorization of the user. It is essentially the starting point or entry point into the cloud by the user credentials like username and password. The resources can maintain a central directory of user and their access right. So AR, or what we say the access right, is important here. When access right is provided, then we can use the services, that is the cloud services. And if you see a top level security, it is mutually exclusive and it is secure. The Keystone interface with the services like LDAP and the enterprise services which is provided in the enterprise level directory. So if access right is provided, then what we say, we can access the database and we can deliver the tokens. And one more thing is that it is very much similar what we say the for example, we have the credentials in the Amazon web services, and the services which is registered and which is a part of the query, that products or the services available to the user Basically there is the automatic program and programming, and automatically these are available to the user. Again, it is based on the request of the user. So mainly the keystone is the entry point. Keystone is responsible for the entry point, and basically it provides the access right to the user. Glance, it is related with some image services. It is having some different style of the virtual images. A virtual machine consists of the entire hard drive, volume image content, and that includes some guest operating system, runtime applications, services, etc. So these are few images and the few formats here. You can look here. The NOAA Compute, basically resource management services. It is identify appropriate computer resources based on the request, based on the demand, and its responsibility of controlling the system, hypervision, and the virtual machines. The NOAA works on the several virtual machines, and the virtual machines are Xen, that is called as XEN Xen, or it can manage the containers. Again, on demand, the scaling is a part and parcel of any cloud offering. So cloud servicing always having the scaling property, you remember it. NOAA Compute is basically when the database is needed, the current state, that is the object of the clusters, can be provided here, that is active, built, deleted, and migrated. So server is actively running, that is active. When server is processing it, and but build is not completed, it is in the build mode. The server has been deleted, so it is deleted mode, and server is migrated to a new host, so it is a migrating mode. So basically what we have, the state of the object is in the cluster can be defined with the help of the four methods. So this is I am shown an example of the four methods, but it is not restricted to the four. Again, depending on the cloud architecture, it may vary. So NOAA relies basically the scheduler, which can schedule the task and execute, and it will relocate the execution. The scheduler can associate on the random basis, and it is also going to filter depending on the choice and the set of the host, and the best matches among these sets that can be selected, and it is again a parameter based decision. The OpenStack, especially the NOAA Compute, allows the customer when the services and servers. So basically servers and services can be customized, and it is allocated to the particular set of the filters uh, depending on the request of the user. Whenever this allows for the explicit control of the server, it has one more layer that is going to provisioning on the scaling. So privilege and provisioning of the various layers are there whenever it going to provide the explicit control of the server. Basically the classic and the important aspect design of the filters now is it is depending on the resources, like the RAM size, disk capacity, then IOPS level, CPU allocation, group affinities, and CIDR affinity. The next service, that is Swift, known as the object storage, and it provides the storage system, and it is nothing but the OpenStack data center. The clusters, when it is scaled by adding the new servers, the object store will contain the things such as what we have, the accounts, the containers, and users having the virtual machines may be stored basically or cached in the Swift. Basically, a NOAA is going to compute the node and can be called directly into the Swift and download the images depending on the first run. So here, whenever the Swift allows here, the clusters and the scaling downs. Very important is the scaling downs. Then the accounts and containers are checked regularly, and the rights are provided called as the access right. The neutron, what we call as the, it is going to associate with the networking services, the network management, the virtual LAN services, and the entire configuration of the network is provided through this neutron. There are some services included here, that is domain name services, DHCP, gateway functions, VLAN management, L2 connectivity, SDN, overland tunneling protocol, VPN, NAT, then the detection system, the balancing, and firewalls. The Cinder, that is known as the basically the block storage, and it is persistent block storage services, and which is needed for the cloud. It acts as a storage as a services and uses some cases like the databases and dynamically growing the file systems. It includes the data lakes, which are the particular importance in the streaming of IoT methods or scenarios. The other components in the OpenStack, like the storage system, is the dynamic and scales as per the requirement. The architecture is built on high availability and open standards. The Cinder includes the creation, deletion, and binding of the storage devices to NOAA compute instances. The multiple storage vendor, like we have the example IBM, CloudByte, Scality, which supports the multiple interfaces like NFS, etc. IBM. It has the backup and retrieval of the disk images, snapshot images of a points in a time, alternative storage for the virtual machine images. Horizon, mainly it is known as the dashboard, and it is the final element or top element. Horizon, basically it is a single pane of glass view, and the panel is for the customer, which is very easy and very handy. And using this dashboard, we are able to manage the resources, which is web-based resources, and we can view the various component, and we can comprise on the OpenStack. We can comprise the NOAA, Cinder, Neutron, and others as we see using the dashboard. So Horizon or dashboard provides user interface. We can view the cloud system as an alternative methods over the API. Horizon is extensible so that the third party can add their tools to the dashboard. The billing component may be added, and Horizon dashboard element can calculate it, and it will going to initialize depending on the customer. The most IoTs uses cloud deployments will include some form of the dashboard with the similar features. Heat orchestration, again it is an optional part. So it's going to launch the multiple composite cloud applications and manage cloud infrastructure based on templates on OpenStack instances. Basically, it integrates the telemetry to autoscale a system to match the load needs. The templates in Heat try to comply with the AWS Cloud Formation formats, and the relationship between the resources can be specified in a similar manner. The volume is connected to this server. The Ceilometer or telemetry, which is again optional service, and this is related with the data gathering, metering of the resources, and it is going to note down the all meterings whenever the services are going to call. It is going to collect the information about the assets and convert into the bills, that is called as the customer bills. The Ceilometer also provide the writing and billing tools. So it is related with the bill are related with the services. So as we use the services, the billing is going to done. So Silometer is providing rating and billing tools which converts the bill value into equivalent currency also. The billing is used to start the payment process. Basically, the meter different events such as the starting a services, attaching a volume, stopping the instance, etc. So it's going to gather on the CPU usage, the number of cores there, memory usage, data management, data movement, and the storage, etc. The application programming interfaces. A cloud application programming interface, that is cloud API. Basically, API, an application programming interface, is a type of API that enables the development of services, applications used for the provisioning of cloud hardware, software, and the platforms. The, the API serves as a gateway that provides direct or indirect cloud infrastructure and software services to the end user. API is the core component behind any public cloud solution, generally based on the primarily on the REST and SOAP frameworks, as well as the cross-platforms and vendor-specific APIs. APIs interacts with the cloud infrastructure to allocate computing, storage, and some network resources for requested cloud applications or the services. So mainly the services what we have seen, that is in infrastructure as a service, networking as a service, infrastructure as a service, etc. Mainly API is a platform what we have between the data or underlying systems and the external systems or the services. Here the system, underlying system or the data is the implementation of the services, basically in terms of the charges which have the we have the interface to these services. So through the API we have the services, various services, and the frequencies are there to the external services. So API acts as the application programming interfaces. We are going to see there are various cloud platforms available for the IoT, and each platform has its own set of APIs. You remember, each platform has its own set of APIs. For example, I am limited to the platforms, but if you search on the internet, there are many platforms available. But for the restriction purpose and for the time limit constraint, I have taken very few of them. The first cloud platform I have taken here, that is ThingWorx 8 IoT platform. So it is very easy for the connectivity, as we see the connectivity with the electronic devices like sensors, RFIDs. It can work remotely and it can done the setup, that is remote setup is available here. It has some gadgets here for the dashboards. We can remove the complexity of the project. It can integrate the machine learning. This is a very important part. It can integrate the machine learning. It is very easy as we see the pros, and it is designed for the customers. Easy to manage the devices, connectivity solutions are available, and it is very simple. But it is very difficult to use with the custom programs like C#. It is hard to manage the complex systems. The limitations to install Edge program on custom platforms. The Microsoft Azure IoT suite. It is very easy device registry, rich integration with SAP Salesforce. I can provide here the links. You can go to the link and take the more information of SAP and Salesforce, Oracle, WebSphere, etc. So it has some bunch of the resources are available. It is rich of the resources. The dashboards are available and the visualization is very good. The real-time streaming is also provided in Microsoft Azure. It offers the third-party services also. It is secure and scalable, and the availability is more. It requires the management, it is more expensive, and there is no support for the bugs. The Google Cloud's IoT platform, again, like Microsoft Azure, the Google Cloud platform is also equally famous and is used. It provides the huge storage, then it cuts cost of the server maintenance because the Google servers can do all the things. Business through a fully protected, intelligent, and responsive IoT data, efficient and scalable. We can analyze here the big data. This is a very good advantage of the Google Cloud IoT platform. The data analytics, it is very fast as we compare the input and output. The access time is less. It provides the integration with other Google services also. So it has the very rich integration of the resources. It also the integration of the various services. So but the most of the component are based on the Google technologies. The programming language choice is not there, so there is a limitation of the programming language choice. IBM Watson IoT platform, the real-time data exchange is possible, secure communication, cognitive system, recently added some data sensors and weather related data service. The process is untapped data, handle huge quantities of data, and it can improve now here the customer services. But the cons are the need a lot of maintenance, take time for integration, and which has the high switching cost. AWS IoT platform, device management, secure gateway for the devices, authentication and encryption, and device shadow. The pros are good integration with IaaS offering, infrastructure related services. Then the price drops over the last 6 years as we compare AWS IoT platforms. It is open and very much flexible. The cons are the a big learning curve for the AWS. 3 outages in the last 2 years. No secure for the hosting critical enterprise applications. The Cisco IoT cloud connection. So this is another cloud platforms here. So it is data and voice connectivity is provided. Device and IP sessions are also provided. Billing is customizable. Flexible development and deployment options are there. Then next is the Salesforce IoT cloud platform. It is the enhanced data connection, improved customer engagement, real-time event processing, technology optimization. The pros are scale to billions of the devices and messages. Very easy in case of UI designs, and it is very easy to connect with the customers. The disadvantages are the security liabilities, and there are limitations because it is not so flexible. Ka IoT platform, it is going to reduce the development time, open source and free, easy and direct device implementation. It is reduced market to time. This is a very important feature of Ka IoT platform. Handle millions of the devices. Again, this is a very important thing. Reduce the marketing time, and it can handle millions of the devices. It is ease of use. Third party integration is provided. Data security is also provided. But the limitations is it is not able to deploy applications based on the PaaS model. Oracle IoT platform, it is secure and scalable, real-time insight, integrated, faster to market. Pros are higher, that is the device visualization is very simple and very sophisticated. High speed messaging is there, and event storage. The things, what we say, ThinkSpeak IoT platform, and this IoT platform is going to collect data in private channels. I also use this ThinkSpeak IoT platform, the app integration, then event scheduling, and it is I have used in case of the MATLAB based analytics and visualization. So here ThinkSpeak, we can interface with the MATLAB and we can develop the various applications based on the MATLAB and ThinkSpeak IoT platform. It is free hosting for the channels. Easy visualization is provided. It is very easy to connect, provide additional features. So the Python resources, whole Python resources can be used here. If you familiar with the Ruby, you can use the all resources. But the mainly the data uploading has some limitations, and it is very critical to handle this API because we need some training to handle the API. For the beginners, it is a one of the hurdle in ThinkSpeak. G predicts IoT platform, optimize assets and operations, provides key performance data, reduces unplanned downtime, and real-time operational data. Now we are going to understand the costing structure of cloud for IoT services. Now for this example, I have taken Google Cloud Platform pricing. You can refer to the other platform pricing also. I'm going to see here the basic method of some cost computing. Here you can observe the monthly data volume and the price per MB. If you observe here, up to 250 MB there is no price, but the data asset, if is greater than 250 MB, we can see there are various rates are there. And the devices, you can see unlimited devices here within the QPS maximum. The maximum charge is the 1024 bytes. The Google Cloud having the minimum charge is for 1024 byte message, that is 1 kilobyte of message. Suppose for the message that are smaller than 1024 bytes, a charge for 1024 bytes will be applied. For example, if a device sends 25 bytes in an MQTT message, the charge for that message will be 1024 bytes into the price per MB for the applicable monthly data volume tiers. For messages that are larger than 1024 bytes, the charge will be message size into price per MB for the applicable monthly data volume tier. Let us see one example here. So if you set the keep alive value for your devices to 50 minutes, then each device would send PI and GR EQ request signal at least every 50 minutes. The total data volume for just the message would be, if it is 27.47 GB, we can calculate the usage here. The 10,000 devices into 96 pin grant request signals per devices per day into 30 days, that is for month, into 1024 byte, that is equal to 27.47 GB. So monthly data is 27, data usage is 27.47 gigabyte. Now taking into account the free data of 250 MB and the fact price per MB is $0.0045. So in the 250 MB to 250 GB range, the pricing per month would use the following formula. So we have to subtract 250 MB because it is a free one, and for the remaining we have to multiply with the price. So price is become $125.46. The basic pricing example, if we have the 10,000 devices connected to the cloud IoT core and each device is send one HTTP request for every 30 minutes, and each request is 1024 byte in a size. Each HTTP request results in a response, and even though a response may be only a few bytes, the minimum billing size of 1024 bytes applies. The total data volume in a month would be 27.46 GB. We can calculate like this. The sending the request means 10,000 devices into 48 messages are sending per devices per day, 30 days 1024 byte, that is equal to 13.73 GB. So that is request. The responses is also same, that is 13.73 GB. And if you add these two, request and responses, it will be 27.46 GB. So taking into account the data usage, if you calculate it, it is become $125.41. The monthly pricing example for very small messages. Say that if you have the 50,000 devices connected to Cloud IoT Core, each devices sends one HTTP request for every 30 minutes, and each request is 5 byte in size. Any message smaller than 1024 byte are still charged as if they were 1024 bytes, because 1024 byte is the minimum data size used for billing. Each HTTP request results in a response, and even though a response may be only a few bytes, the same minimum size of 1024 byte is going to apply. The total data volume in a month would be 137.32 GB. We can calculate there are 50,000 devices, 48 messages per devices per day, then 30 days for a month, then 1024 bytes, so it is equal to 68.66 GB, that is request. Responses are same. If you add this, the total data volume is become 137.32 GB. If you calculate it by subtracting 250 MB, then we have $631.65. Taking another example, monthly pricing example for the large volumes or large messages. So especially we are dealing with the large messages here. Consider 50,000 devices connected to Cloud IoT Core, and each device sends one HTTP request every minute, and each message is 8192 byte. Remember, each message is of 8192 bytes. Each request results in a response, and even though a response may be only a few bytes, any messages smaller than 1024 bytes are still charged as if they were 1024 bytes, because 1024 byte is the minimum size used for the billing. The total data volume in a month, we can calculate it is 18.1 TB. You can calculate like this: 50,000 devices, the messages are become 1440 messages. You can calculate because it is sending every minute. So per day we have the 1440 messages into the 30 days and into 8192 message. 8192 bytes, because each message having 8192 bytes. So total it is become 16.1 TB. Similarly, we can do the for the next, but here if you observe the data byte is of 1024 because for the responses, so it is become 2 terabyte, and if you add this we have the 18.1 terabyte. Now the first is, I think it is 0. For that the next 5 terabyte, up to 5 terabyte we have the 0.002 tariff, and beyond this we have 0.00045 tariff. So if you add this, and the billing will be $17305.99. So in this way we have seen how to calculate the monthly billing and how costing is done. So for example only I am taken the Google Cloud. You can refer the other tariffs of other platform also. The basic calculations are same everywhere. Performance matrix for the IoT platform in the performance matrix for the cloud platform in IoT. Basically, the the performance matrix are scalability, bandwidth, protocol used for this cloud platform, system performance, security, redundancy, and the recovery, hybrid cloud, solution lifetime, interoperability, and edge intelligence. Here, if you observe, the scalability is a very important thing, and it is available for, I think, all services. The bandwidth, that is the size here, and the speed is depending on the bandwidth. The protocols, what we have used, already we have seen the protocols, MQTT, HTTP, etc. Then COAP, the system performance, how the system is performed. Then the security, what type of the security is provided. The redundancy, and what we are using, the private, public, or hybrid clouds. And the lifetime solutions provided, interoperability, what available there, and the intelligence method, whether it is edge intelligence or not. So these are the performance metrics. So we'll stop here. Thank you.